Okay, so on number 7 it talks about a garden, a rectangular garden that is 12 by 16. So this is 16 and this is 12. Then it talks about how there's a pathway around the outside of it. And it talks about how the area that increases the total area to 285. So you know that, let me change colors. You know that area equals length times width. So you're looking for the area of just that pathway. So if you look at, or the total area, if you think about the pathway, you don't know how wide the pathway is. And so like the distance from here to here is unknown, and the distance from here to here is unknown. So if you think about the distance from here to here, that's going to be the black 16 that runs from here to here, plus 2 x's. So that's going to be 16, that's a 6, plus 2x. That's going to be the distance from the start of my blue to the end of my blue. Okay? And then if I look at the width of the pathway, like right here in the purple, I know that it's 12 from here to here. And I know the pathway is x wide. So from here to here is x and x. So if I want to know this whole thing, it's going to be 12 plus x, which is 2x. Okay? So now if I erase the middle part of the pathway, I have the length is 16 plus 2x. The width is 12 plus 2x. And you know they told you that the area of that whole thing will be 285. So I can set up an equation thinking about area equals length times width. So I know 285 should equal 12 plus 2x times 16 plus 2x. Let me go to the new screen and clean it up a little bit. Okay, so from here, I know I'm going to have to, because I'm dealing with multiplying these two and their binomials, I know I'm going to have to use FOIL. So if I multiply these out, and I'm going to quickly do this, you should know how to FOIL by now. So let me quickly write the answer in there. Okay, and if you're not sure where I got the 56, the 56x, it was the 2x times 2, it was the 12 times 2x and then the 2x times 16 and then added together. So now I know that I'm dealing with a quadratic, so I know I need to set it equal to 0 and either factor it or use a quadratic equation. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 285 to set this equal to 0. And that's going to get me a negative 93 plus 56x plus 4x squared. And I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that in descending order, but you wouldn't have to. It just sometimes helps with plugging in the a, b, and c to the quadratic equation. Okay, so then I would use the quadratic equation to find the roots of this. And so that would be negative b, which is negative 56, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a. So if you went ahead and solved that, I'm going to go ahead and just jump to the answer. You could plug that into your calculator. You're going to get 1.5 for one of them, and you're going to get negative 15.5 for the other. Well, you can't have a negative distance, so you know that answer is not true. So you know it must be, not 1.5, 15, sorry about that. You know that the answer then must be 15. So going back to the story, oops, it was 1.5. Let me back up here. 1.5. So going back to the story, this was 16 times 2 times x. So you're going to have times 15 16 plus 2 times x, and it was 2 times 1.5. And then the other one was 12 plus 2 times x, and so it would be 2 times 1.5. So if you solve those out, the length would be 19 feet, and the width would be 15 feet. So that's number 7. Number 8, it talks about a right triangle and Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that for a minute. And it talks about the triangle. Let's see, the hypotenuse is 13. So I can go ahead and put 13 in the hypotenuse. One of the legs is 2 feet more than twice the other. So if you call one of them x, the other one is 2 feet more. Sorry, this is getting messy. Let me try that again. Two feet more than twice the other. So that says 2 plus 2x. Then you can use Pythagorean theorem. You know that a squared plus b squared should equal c squared. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in for my a's and b's. So I get 2 plus 2x squared plus x squared equals 13 squared. And you can look on the answer key of how to solve that through. But once you get that solved down, it should be, you're going to have to use FOIL here. So you're going to have 2 plus 2x times another 2 plus 2x, then plus x squared. And again, you can look on the solutions in My Math Labs. But once you get down to it, you should have 5x squared plus 8x plus 4 equals 169. And again, you would you would set that equal to 0 and use the quadratic equation. One of your answers will end up being 5, and the other answer will end up being negative 6.4, which can't be because we're talking about distance. So 5 must be the answer. So it asks you find the length of each leg. So now you need to plug 5 in. So this leg right here is 5. You already knew this one was 13. And this one is 2 plus 2 times 5. So that would be 10, 11, that'd be 12. And that's how you do number 8. On number 9, it tells you that you're finding two positive consecutive even integers, x and x plus 2, and that their product is 14 more than their sum. So their product, when you multiply it, it must be 14 more than their sum. So if you think about their product, that would be x times x plus 2. So the product of them, which means times, is going to be equal to 14 more than when you add them, x plus 2. Oops, there's a little plus in there. So now it's just a matter of solving using your distributive property. X squared plus 2x equals 14. I've got 2 x's here I can combine, call that 2x plus 2. And now, because I'm dealing with squared, I can set it all equal to 0, and then you can either factor or you can use a quadratic equation, either one. You'll find that your final answers end up being 4 and negative 4, and again, you can't have, the two answers have to be positive consecutive even integers. So that means that negative won't be an option. So it must be 4 and 6 because those are consecutive, meaning counting order, and even, meaning every other one, 4 and 6. So number 10, they usually have one of these on the final. It's talking about a ball being kicked, and it's talking about the time and the height. So your height would be here, and your time would be here. And the ball gets kicked and it goes up and it reaches the highest height, and it comes back down. So A says find the time it takes the ball to reach the maximum height. So what it's looking for is it's looking for the highest point and the x value at that point. So at that point you have an x and a y, and that point is the vertex, and you know that time is your x. So you're going to use the formula x equals negative b over 2a. And you're going to plug those in from the equation that they gave you. In the equation, they told you it was h equals negative 16t squared plus 14t plus 2. So you know that B is 14. So if I plug that in, I get negative 14 over 2 times A, and A was negative 16. So if I solve that, I get 7/16. So it took 7/16 of a second to reach the highest point. And then the next question they asked was find the maximum height. Well, the height, remember that the height is your y. And so if you looked at this point again, at that vertex, you know your y is going to be your highest point. So you can take this 7/16 and you can plug it into the original equation. And you can look on the answer key if you need to. I'm not going to write it all down. But you can plug it into the original equation and find out what the height was. And then C said, find the time it takes a ball to reach the ground. Well, it reaches the ground right here. So you're looking for the roots. And so if you take that equation, the negative 16t squared plus 14t plus 2, and you use the quadratic equation on it, you're going to get two answers. You're going to get these 2 points on the graph. You're going to get the roots. One of them is going to be negative, okay, and one of them is going to be positive. And so then the positive answer is the one. So hopefully this helped clear that up. There are some story problems that you can practice from on the exam bank. And this was a tough worksheet for story problems, but you definitely will have at least one on the final. So, and I can't even tell you which one because all of those came from old finals, released items, so it could be any of those type.